Hey everybody, and welcome to a special episode, a special video about where I talk about my thoughts of the new Star Wars movie trailer, but also of course the new Battlefront trailer. Before that, I would like to make a quick thank you for surpassing 20,000 subscribers. I will actually make a special video later. Um, Definitely check that out. It's going to be the next video. Um, Probably will be up tonight or tomorrow. And for people who are a fan of Epic Arma, definitely check it out because it's going to be a scenario that has been the most requested ever, and it has something to do with a certain beach landing somewhere in France. Anyway, people, this is going to be probably a quite a long video, but let's talk about the new Star Wars movie trailer, The Force Awakens. So I'm going to do an analysis of just how I felt throughout, like I did before. Um, it of course starts with a very wide establishing shot of Tatooine, the speeder bike. I believe if I looked closely, it was the same speeder bike the girl actually rode in the first teaser trailer, and of course this massive Star Destroyer in the background, the crashed X-wing in the foreground. It made me have goosebumps, also because of the music that they used. But it just made me feel like, a lost era, the ruins of the battles that were. The design of the ships in the Galactic Civil War are so much cooler than the ones in the prequels, in my honest opinion. The Star Destroyers are just, I don't know, they're so impressive, they're so huge. And it was actually very cool to see a Star Destroyer crash on the planet like that, even though we've, of course, seen that imagery in the Force Unleashed? I don't know, actually, I've never played that game too much, but I believe there was a cutscene where, I don't know what his name is called, but that apprentice of Vader crashes a Star Destroyer. Anyway, so that was very cool. Then, of course, we get the shot of Darth Vader's melted helmet. And again, it just made me feel very nostalgic and also a little, sad. Everything is gone, destroyed, pretty much gone but not forgotten. A era that was such a long time ago. And I had the same sort of feeling with the next shot, where, obviously it's Mark Hamill that you hear, which also made me have goosebumps, and I'm so glad that Mark Hamill is getting, good roles again. Because even though he had kind of a success with the, being the voice of the Joker in Batman, he really did not have a good acting career pretty much after Star Wars. And it makes me feel happy to see him in this magnificent role again. But the next shot was obviously also himself, where he says, "I have it," and you see his new robot arm, and of course, our little buddy R2-D2. Made me feel good to see him too. But that imagery was also kind of sad or mysterious for some reason, where he lays his hand on top of R2, and he's like, there, little buddy. Like, it felt like they were saying, like, either we're going to have one more adventure together, or Luke, because Luke is, of course, a little older, and maybe, he was saying goodbye to R2. I don't know. Which, by the way, if you're wondering, I did not look up any stuff about what the trailer explains. So all my accusations or theories are purely by the trailer itself. I do this because I just don't want to get spoiled. I realize that there's probably a lot of information surrounding the plot that can be found on the internet in interviews and stuff, but I don't want that. I want to be, surprised by the movie. The trailer is all that I'm gonna get, and I'm fine with that. So some of my theories might be very wrong. Whatever. Oh shit.
We've captured a command post. Hostile reinforcement count is diminishing.
But yeah, so what I was talking about, the imagery of Luke. So yeah. So to me, it just felt very sad, very nostalgic. Then, of course, my sister has it. We see a lady hand. To me, the lady hand looked actually a little young. So I'm not too sure if it's Leia's hand, but I assume it is. Then, of course, you have that power too. I am not too sure who he's saying this to. Is it his own child? Is it the child of Han and Leia? I'm not too sure. Like, my theory right now is that the girl that you see throughout the trailer, that is either his daughter or Leia's and Han's daughter. Something like that. I don't know. Like, I know the black guy is obviously not like his son. Um, but yeah, then of course we get this Christmas, we get the X-Wings flying through the air. That's very cool. Um, then of course we get the lightsabers. We get a Darth Revan looking motherfucker. Not too sure what the deal is with that guy. He looks cool though, don't get me wrong, but I was like, whoa, is Revan back? And I remember there were actually some theories about the very first teaser that a very old Sith had woken up, and I was like, wait, is that Revan? But I don't know if they're gonna do. Probably not. I'm pretty sure they said that all of the lore in the extended universe, yeah, they're throwing that out of woodwork. So I guess it's not. But he looks pretty dope. And then we get, if I'm not mistaken, the imagery of all the stormtroopers before the red flag. That's also very cool. Cannot wait for those big battles. Then there's just some action, I think. There's a shot where there are all these explosions and stuff, but if you look closely, a TIE fighter is actually killing all of these stormtroopers. And I'm just wondering, who is piloting that TIE fighter? Is it the black guy that was a stormtrooper before and just said, fuck it, I'm done with this? A lot of questions there. It looked very cool. It took me a while to actually realize that it was a TIE fighter that was blowing them up. I've seen the trailer now a lot of times, and yeah, I didn't notice it the first few times. Oh god. Ah! But then you also had some other imagery in terms of action. All the cuts in the trailer from that point were very quick. You had, of course, the little droid, the ball one, which I'm a little worried about that. You know, he will obviously be the comic relief. I hope they won't go too far with him like they did with Jar Jar. They showed more of the girl and the black guy, and they look like very cool characters to me. Again, though, I have no idea who they are. I think the speculations are indeed that he is a stormtrooper that turns good. Which might be interesting. It might be interesting to actually give the stormtroopers more face. And I know that there's actually a lot of racial problems that people have with that, which is dumb, in my honest opinion. But let's see, what other imagery is there, if I'm not mistaken. Oh yeah, we see, of course, the new Star Destroyers, where they have the shuttle that actually go there. That looks pretty dope. Oh, the Chrome Troopers? So this was interesting. So I thought that the Chrome Troopers would be maybe like a higher rank or something, but then I heard a theory that they might be a bounty hunter, which, well, would be interesting too. Obviously he won't be as cool as Boba Fett, but he looked pretty dope, and it was pretty obvious to me that he was the one that was piloting the TIE fighter that followed the Millennium Falcon in the final shot. It was also pretty cool that actually the Millennium Falcon goes through the Star Destroyer, and has sort of a battle there that reminded me of the second Death Star run that Lando has. And let me see, did I have every scene by then? I think I did. So that was all very cool. And then, of course, the scene, or the shot, came. And it turned to black. You heard Chewie, and I knew already. He said, we're home. And just, even though I was alone, you know, nobody could hear me, I just had to cry out a oh my god at the end when I saw an old Harrison Ford and a Chewbacca that didn't age a day. Both, you know, Chewie had his crossbow, Han had his pistol. I was like, yes, baby. Yes. This is it. I want this. I want this now. And it's interesting. I've had this conversation before, or this talk before, where I said, see, I'm 24, so I was born in an age even before Episode 1, so I grew up as a child with the original trilogy. If you were 14 or 15, you grew up in a world where Episode 1, probably even Episode 2, since you were probably like 3 or 4 when that came out, already existed. So that's all you knew. Now that is fine, but I have gotten a lot of hate in the past because I didn't watch the Clone Wars series. I didn't know, for example, who Captain Rex was or stuff like that. I say whatever. I am from an age where, there were only the 3 movies, and that was it. There were some video games, there were some books, but you didn't have to read all of those to call yourself a fan, and I still consider myself a fan, even though I do not watch the series. I'm also not going to watch Star Wars Rebels. It just doesn't appeal to me to watch some CGI series. But I am going to definitely watch this movie and play a lot of games. In terms of that, I am a fan. I am a fan of the movies and the games. And then there are also people who are fans of the movies, the games, the books, the series, whatever. And that's all fine. It doesn't make you any less of a fan. There's a lot of hatred going on there, and it's kind of dumb, to be honest. But yeah, no. So for me, because I saw the original trilogy first, that one, of course, has a bigger spot in my heart. I saw Empire Strikes Back first. I didn't see them in the correct order, which is also why that is my favorite. And just to see this whole new series, but with all the old characters and just the love that they bring in, this really was a teaser trailer for the fans of the old movies. All the imagery that they used. R2, the Darth Vader mask that was melted. Luke, with his hand. Oops. Actually, Mark Hamill's voice himself. Han. The Millennium Falcon. Just everything. Oh, I love it. And it's funny to me that there are a lot of, critiques that the young ones have now, which is, the same way it went when Episode 1, 2, and 3 came out, All of the people that loved how it was kind of hated it, and now the exact same thing happens with the young ones now, where they're like, what is this? I don't like this, blah, blah, blah. And I'm kind of enjoying it that you guys are now experiencing that as well. Now, I gotta say, I was actually kind of a fan of Episode 1. I was 9 years old when that came out. But I was not a big fan of Attack of the Clones, mostly because I can still watch it, no problem. But I didn't like how they treated Anakin like a bitch, where he was crying about, oh, I'm haunted by the kiss that never was, and blah 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 blah, and blah 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 blah. And also Yoda was a lot cooler in the original trilogy, where he was this, Bodhisattva, almost enlightened character, not this jumping around lunatic with a lightsaber in the prequels. I think it was actually based partly on the Dalai Lama as well. Ugh. Not necessarily based, but it's definitely some inspiration. He also giggles all the time in Episode 5. So yeah, I thought that the teaser was excellent. It was so well done. It just got so much right, and I cannot wait for the movie. I'm definitely pumped. But let's now talk about the new Battlefront trailer. Like I said, every time that some big news about Battlefront will come out, I will make a video. Now, of what I understand, there was no actual gameplay trailer. There was, again, an in-game engine trailer. There was apparently a gameplay trailer for, press or something, but they didn't give that out, which kind of sucks. Because I did check some of those videos, and apparently the gameplay trailer did indeed look a little less than the in-game engine trailer. So yeah, like I said, it was a in-game engine trailer. But they did say that it looked a little close, but just a lot less aliasing, and everything. But just what annoys me is that it seems that in the in-game engine trailer they use animations that will not be in the actual game. There were rebel troopers that looked up, their backs bended in a way that I thought would not be natural when you play a video game. They stumbled on each other. It looked too fluent for a video game. But I might be wrong, because, you know, animation quality, of course, does go up through the things. But, again, it wasn't actual gameplay. But, together with the information that I got from the gameplay trailer, or people who saw the gameplay trailer and the in-game engine, I came to a few points. So, obviously, the game will focus on the original trilogy, not the Clone Wars, which I know is a big problem for a lot of my subscribers because they are in the age range where the Clone Wars is preferred. Of course, they either might wait for a new Battlefront, if they want to cash in on that, to actually include the Clone Wars era, or they might do paid DLC. We'll see how that works, because of course EA is going to do a lot of DLC plans, I assume. But yeah, focusing on the original trilogy, there are of course not that many battles, I found out, as the Clone Wars. The Clone Wars has a lot more material to work with in terms of battles that they have. Because maps that are, for example, included in Battlefront of the original trilogy are things like Dagobah, Jabba's Palace, Yavin 4, on the ground, that is. And there weren't those big kind of battles there. You know, Bespin 2. There just weren't those big kind of battles. So it's going to be interesting how they're going to change the lore there. But it was also announced that there's going to be free DLC that will include actually some battles regarding the new movie, which is very interesting. But let's talk about what we saw. So, the battle in the trailer focused mostly on Endor. It was very similar to the footage that we saw before in the teaser that was also in-game engine, which just I didn't like very much because it didn't say very much. You know, one could say, oh well, you know, it's like atmosphere, impression, how it's going to be. It's like, well, it's Endor. We know how it works. That will be the same fucking thing as if they make a new Dragon Ball game and make me show the battle between Vegeta and Goku again. It's like, I know, I've seen this multiple times. So, basically, there are some battles going on, some speeder bikes being ridden. Got a first look at the ATSTs, the vehicles. They looked cool. Explosions looked badass. But one thing that was interesting was that, of course, on one certain point, a AT-AT entered Endor. Now, of course, there's in the re-release version, there is actually a scene with an AT-ST, or AT-AT, when Luke goes to meet Darth. And basically what I understood is that the AT-AT was actually an objective. It was the objective of the Empire to actually protect the AT-AT as it was going somewhere, probably to like the Rebels headquarters. I actually found that interesting. I do realize that, you know, Conquest is the classical Battlefield and also Battlefront formula or mode, but I'm pretty sure they will add that mode to every map. I thought it was very interesting that they wanted to change it up and actually have it like that. I thought it was very cool because it focuses all the battles at the AT-AT, so you will have very chaotic battles going on there in a very focused point, which I really like. It's the enemy territory formula, where there's always an objective and the objective shifts, so all the action will move there as well. Now, the rebels called in what seemed to be an airstrike. The formation of the Y-Wings that bombed the AT-AT seemed too tight where it to be actual human players. So there are airstrikes that reminded me of the Battlefield 1943 game, where if you had enough points you could call in like bombers. It will probably work kind of the same way with Y-Wings, which is interesting, but I know that a lot of people would have wanted actual players to be able to, you know, have air vehicles there as well. Probably there's going to be some evolution. It didn't really show that, but what I understood was that in the gameplay trailer, they showed that same mission. The rebels were able to destroy the AT-AT as well, like they did in the in-game engine trailer. And then Darth Vader came along. So we have here playable heroes, which is great. I know a lot of you people wanted that. Also, there is going to be first person and third person. Also very important, and that is something that a lot of you people wanted. A lot of you people wanted the third person because that is very much how all of you played Battlefront. You let me know that you wanted me to change the perspective a lot of times, to third person. So that will actually be available. So rejoice there. But also hero units, which is very cool. And basically in the gameplay trailer they then actually went to the headquarters of the rebels where they did a final battle. They didn't actually show that in the in-game engine trailer. Now they did show some of the other maps. I think they showed Tatooine. Obviously Hoth again. You know, it looked cool, but again, it's in-game engine. They actually showed a shot of a first-person X-Wing roaming through a canyon. Again, that was, again, in-game engine. I would have liked to see actual gameplay with a HUD and stuff. But whatever. It looks very cool. Probably, though, no transition from being able to fly from the ground to space, which is something that a lot of you people wanted. I actually didn't think that it was a good idea with the number of players you would have. I've had this talk again before, but if you only have 64 players in a big map like this, and you need to divide the number of players between ground forces and sky forces, they will be thinned out so much that you will not have epic battles. You will need more units in order to make that work. You would have like 60 players versus 60 players to actually make it work to where you have epic ground battles and epic space battles. Otherwise you would only have maybe 3 or 4 guys flying in space and the rest would be fighting. We saw Boba Fett, of course. That was very cool. Very badass. Cannot wait to play as him. What else? What else?
Their reinforcements are dwindling.
I think that was it. I think I talked about the DLC, about that. So yeah, I actually really liked the trailer. Again, I would have liked to see actual gameplay, but at least now they explained some stuff. You know, we've got to know some new stuff about what the game's gonna be, which is very important. Which I'm peaceful with, or I've laid my piece with, even though it wasn't actual gameplay. It was worth to talk about, and we've learned more. So yeah, I cannot wait actually. I think it looks very cool. I don't know the reactions of the other people, but to me it looks like they handle it with a lot of respect. And I was afraid that they would do some move to where they would maybe, like the Battle of Hoth or something, would be a pre-order bonus, which would be ridiculous, where you have such an important battle and you leave that behind a paywall. You know, that would be just atrocious. And they didn't, which is good, because you get now the battle of the 7th movie as a pre-order bonus, but that one is free too. You just get it a little earlier, which is fine. So yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all I wanted to talk about for today. See if I forgot anything. I don't think so. Or that. So yeah, I'm kind of curious to what you guys thought of the new Battlefront trailer. Definitely during E3, when there's probably shown new footage, I will make a video about it again. You guys know my opinion about the new movie. So yeah, it's a great year to be a Star Wars fan. As you can see, I was actually able to get Star Wars Battlefront to work again, because I still have that bug where it, you know, minimizes me to desktop. So I will also do some map reviews now. So definitely be on the lookout for that too. So thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys next time.